Okay, so in order to do this, you first need a database. Now, the one that I am using, it's actually the one in the workshop, and I'm using the EC29 one, which is at the time of recording, the latest July 2025 database that they did, which is, in my opinion, the best one. And the file for anything done with the Steam Workshop will be in here. So program files, Steam Apps Workshop, and then content. And then there's some folders in here. It depends on how many workshop files or things you've downloaded. There will be more than that. But this one, there's nothing really indicating which one is which, but I know that this is the one based on the last modified date. And then there's some folders in here, so there's things like player faces and whatever this is, more player faces and coach faces, and the logos are in here somewhere. This one is the actual databases. Now ignore these extra ones because I was experimenting, but this is the core file. So what I do is I copy this and then paste it in a separate folder, but I do it in the main common data folder. So in this case, I created a folder called 36 test. You can call it whatever you want, but this is what will pop up when you create a new game. And then I pasted it in here. So then you use the EHM editor. Now, EHM editor, you can open saved games, but open saved game isn't good for major changes like this, like completely changing the way the league works. If you have to like change the colors of a team or whatever, fine, but you have to open the database, and this has to be done before you start a new game. Okay, so open database, and there it is. Let it load. Now I'm going to add 4 teams. You can do this however you want, but my original test was 34 teams, and it worked. I'm hoping 36 works, but now the first order of business is the clubs. So if you go to clubs, it lists every team ever, but we have to add a new one. So if you look down here in the bottom right, there's add item. So click that add item, and it'll give you a team club called inactive. So this is going to be, what did I decide? I went with Atlanta, Houston, Quebec, and San Francisco. So this will be Atlanta team, very aptly named. Short name is what shows up in the, like the standings. Let's call it Atlanta. You can put a nickname if you want to, but you don't have to. Call this ATL. Now, you'll notice that it says inactive. That doesn't go away until you change the nation. I'll also show you this. So if you don't do that, so let's select the league first. Search it. National Hockey League. So you see how I got that error? And if I click off, actually, let me just do it here. Oh, yeah, there it is. So it's highlighted in yellow. That's because there's errors. And you can see what it's yelling about. So it has to have a nation. So you click on that. Atlanta is in the U.S. and it doesn't matter which country it is, but it has to be in a country. And then professional status. In this case, it's the NHL. So professional. And reputation, I think, is out of 10,000. I'm not 100% sure. I know the Leafs is 9,000. So this is Atlanta. So let's go 8,000. Year founded, you can leave blank, or you can enter the current year. Last position, 0, because it didn't exist. Then the media expected position is what will show up at the beginning of the year in the first year, so when it like ranks the teams. So I'm just going to put 36. These numbers are out of 20, fan support, market size, and training. So fan support, let's go 15. Atlanta's pretty big, so we'll go 18, and then training, I don't know, 19. Now, you'll notice that when I selected National Hockey League, it automatically changed detailed division, And then this is important because the detailed division is the actual division that it plays in. So the current NHL has 2 conferences with 2 divisions each. You can add your own. So if you wanted to create divisions, you could, and then create whatever wacky configuration for the league you want. But I'm just going to stick with the current 4. So Atlanta, I'll just stick them in the well, not Quebec's going to go in the Atlantic. I'll stick them in the Metro. So Metropolitan Division. Reserve Division, you don't have to worry about. Previously, they didn't exist, but I have found that adding anything just kind of helps. So I'm just going to put National Hockey League, even though it didn't exist. Now that should make the errors go away, and it did. So the yellow is no longer there. Now the arena, you can create your own arenas. So if you click on this tab, you can, or this button, you can go in here, add item, and just add another arena. So like in my game, the first time I did this, I actually created the arena where the Atlanta Hawks, the NBA team, play, and then just sent them there. But this can actually be any arena. So I don't know. Let's just make them play at, I don't know, Amalie Arena. So they play in Tampa Bay. And the average attendance, I don't know. These numbers are probably wholly incorrect, but we'll just go with it. Okay. And I also noticed that I missed home city, so you do have to update that. Atlanta, Georgia. Okay. Colors, I'm not going to bother with this, but you can change the colors. This is the color scheme that appears at like the top bar in the game. History, there is none. Club records, there are none. No players, no staff. So this is just completely blank. You can probably do this later, but when you add players, if you want to just kind of like follow the way the NHL does expansion drafts, you could do that. I exported an Excel file and did it, but you could do it directly. So you could like go to players and staff and just go through and like select players if you want to do it the hard way. So I'll add a couple players later, but I don't want to like fill the whole roster. So anyway, so there's Atlanta. So now I'm going to add 3 more. So that was Atlanta. So add item. What did I say? Quebec team. Careful of your clicks. So detailed division will be the Atlantic. Previously National Hockey League. Reputation 8,000. So that was 36 or 35. Fan support, you know Quebec would be all over this. Nation, so that would be Canada. I don't have the accent key, so I'll have to find it the old-fashioned way. Click. So Quebec plays at the Bell Center. So I have added 4 teams. I just have San Francisco open right now. What is this error? Okay. So I added Atlanta, Houston, Quebec City, and then San Francisco. Each one is in each respective division, so 1 in each. I just have them playing in existing arenas just for the sake of the video. And these numbers are just totally made up. I don't know what the actual attendance of the SAP Center is. So feel free to create your own arenas when you do this. So anyway, I have now created the clubs. The other thing that you have to do is create affiliations. So if you go in here, this is the AHL to ECHL teams, NHL to AHL, NHL to ECHL. You have to do this, otherwise you have to loan players to other teams every time, and it's kind of a pain. So having like an actual affiliate will make it easy. So I'll just do one of these just to show you how to do it. So I'm in the affiliations, add item. That will create one that says none. So let's do Atlanta. So Atlanta team. So the lower club is the affiliated team. So they also share a team with Florida, I think, and Charlotte Checker. So what this is it's the NHL team is the upper, the AHL team is the lower, and you can see the type farm primary means it's the main farm team. So the American Hockey League, that's the NHL equivalent. So now those are associated. I'll add another one, and then I will do Atlanta, and then they're called Savannah, which makes sense because that's in Georgia. And then because this is the ECHL, this is a secondary farm team. Okay, so you can see that Atlanta is now affiliated with Charlotte for AHL, Savannah for the ECHL. You can, of course, create your own teams. So create your own AHL teams, create your own ECHL teams. In real life, I don't think there's an AHL team for every NHL team, nor an ECHL team for every NHL/AHL team. So it's not unrealistic to share one if you have to, but that's how you do that. So if you're adding 4 teams, you would have to do that 4 times. So this affiliation. So now this is where it gets fun. If you go to the competitions tab, and then go to rules and structures, find National Hockey League, and then this is where you set the information. So by default, there are 32 teams. We are adding 4 more, so this goes up to 36. If you want to change anything else, you can. So if you want to, make it so that you can have more than 20 players dressed, you can do that. The rest of this is already preset. This is just the, I'll talk about this in a second, but this is just the way that the league is structured. If you had wanted to add a relegation league or something, which I haven't played around with, but you could add a lower competition, and then change the rules so that if you lose, you get relegated. That'd be kind of fun, but anyway, we'll talk about that. I'll talk about this now. So the stage setting, you see this as concurrent initial stages 2, and what that means is you have the Eastern Conference and then the Western Conference. Each one is a stage. So if you click on the Stages tab and then go here, you'll see that it has, it's cut off, but it's Eastern Conference, Western Conference. And then you've got the playoffs and then the championship, and then that is listed as 5 stages in total. So regular season East and West, playoffs East and West, and then the final. Now we actually do have to change something here. So if you go to the stages, select Eastern Conference, you don't really have to change anything up here, but I do have to change the number of teams. Now this is the thing that I kept forgetting about when I was testing this. So I would create the teams and add them and set up the schedule, which we'll talk about, but then when I started it, it would give an error saying that the teams couldn't be placed, and it's because they weren't placed in the stages. So we are adding 4 more teams. 36 divided by 2 is 18, so this becomes 18. So that means I have 18 teams in the East. Go here. 18 teams in the West. Now, the dates, I haven't quite figured out the relevance, or I guess the difference between this and the schedule, but what I think it means, and somebody can correct me if I'm wrong here, but when it says 2 dates, I'm pretty sure those are just the start of the season and the end of the season, which you can set. So the season starts October 4th, ends April 17th. That actually does matter for the schedule. So if you want to, you could change this, make it shorter or longer, or have it start in August or something. The rules, you don't really have to change unless you want to. This is where you would set relegation if you added that kind of thing. So that's what the stages are. You can also see it in a handy chart if you would like to. Any errors will show up here in status. But where the fun begins is in structure. So by default, this is the way the NHL is formed: East, West, 2 divisions of each, and then 8 clubs of each. So you can do this 2 ways. You can click on the division and then add item, and then just add the team if you know it. The other thing you can do, and this is going to be, sorry, it added my empty team. Another thing you can do to confirm that you set it up right is to use this populate button here. Now, I'm going to see what happens. This will be a test to see if I set it up correctly, because I'm doing this live essentially. So I've got my Atlantic division selected. I'll go to populate, and then I want to populate current division with clubs by detailed division. So what it's doing is it's going to populate this division by clubs that have that division listed. So there's that one, and then Atlantic. Hooray! So there we go. So Quebec showed up. You can also do, I'm going to try it. Let's do it live. Screw it, we'll do it live. So populate current conference with club by detailed division. Oh, it actually worked. Good. So if you do it by conference, Atlanta showed up, Quebec showed up. So we'll just do that again. Populate. Good. San Francisco. Oh, Houston. Okay, there you go. So now I've got that. 9 clubs in each division. Now, like I said, you could create your own divisions. So add divisions. You could set it up. If you want to, you have to create them first, but you could add the divisions and then set it up however you want. I was messing around with having 4 divisions in each conference, but just for the sake of simplicity, we'll leave it like that. So now I've got my divisions. The teams are associated with them. I don't need to touch anything here, but you can also change the number of games. So at the time of recording this, the NHL is going to 84 games starting in, I think, 2 years. So when I was messing around with this initially, I changed this to 84, and that worked. So you could change this. The draw date is when, actually, I don't know what draw date means. July 1st. I don't know. Structure design stages. So no errors, good, and there's my chart. Okay. So now this is where it kind of sucks. So the, I accidentally clicked on the ruling bodies. You can change some stuff in here too if you want to. You can, get rid of fighting penalties. Game misconduct, automatic ban, so you can set all those rules. Automatic match ban for attempt to injure, that actually is a thing. Automatic game misconduct for major penalty, yep. So there's that. But schedule templates is the hard part. So I'm going to click on schedule templates, National Hockey League. National Hockey League. I don't actually know what priority does. So the starting date, change that to whatever. If you want to use not NHL rules, you can use that block or checkbox. But I'm going to click on schedule list, and what this does is it lists every single team throughout the season, their home and away dates. Now, by default, it is set up for 32 teams, so this is the one that is built into the database by default. But we have added teams, which means we have changed the way the schedule works. If you don't change anything, I don't even think it would load, but you would have teams not playing at all. So I'm going to click a very scary button and delete all items. So the league doesn't have a schedule. What I'll do now is go down here to the schedule generator and be very careful here. Okay, so you want these settings to be accurate. So I know from the rules and structures in that stages section, actually, you know what, I'm just going to double check. So the schedules, so October 4th is the start, April 17th is the end. So I know those days. So I will change the start date to October 4th, which is a Saturday. I misclicked. October 4th, and then season ends on April 17th. Divisions 4, default home game count 1. You can just leave that. It means the matrix, as you'll see, is just populated with a bunch of 1s. But make sure you set the number of clubs. So we know that it's 9 across the board, so I can just do that. So you want to make sure this number is accurate, divisions is accurate, the start and end date is accurate, and then hit apply, and then go to next, and then you get this scary thing. So the explanation at the top here does explain what it's doing, but it's still very scary looking. What it means is every team, how many times they play another team at home and on the road. So right here, Atlantic Club 1, it doesn't generate the names, but Atlantic Club 1, they don't play themselves on the road, so that's blank. But they play Club 2 once at home, which means that it's once for Club 2 on the road. Now, the quick math here is to remember that the way the NHL actually works is they always play, or the East teams always play the West teams once in each of their arenas, so you can just put 1s for the out-of-conference games, which makes it easy mathematically. Because we have 36 teams now, that is 18, so 18 games are set for, or spoken for, per club, that is. Then from there you can just kind of do the math. So if it's 82 and you have to play the out-of-conference teams once at home, then you can kind of fill in the gap. So if that's 18, then you would want to make these numbers equal 18. So the end goal is the Atlantic Club 1, the x-axis of games should equal 41, half of 82, or however long your season is. If it's 84, then 42. If it's 70, then 35. So on the x-axis, Atlantic Club 1 plays 41 games on the road, or sorry, at home, and then the y-axis, Atlantic Club 1 plays on the road 41 times. So you just want to make sure those numbers line up. So I'm going to pause this video now because this will likely take you multiple times before you get it right, and I don't want to record me entering numbers in here. So I'm going to pause the video and then I'll come back again. So as you can see by the clock, this is being recorded an hour later because I actually messed this up twice. And this is definitely the most irritating part and the most time consuming. What I recommend doing, so you can export this as an Excel file, After you start the generator, you can export it and then bring it into Excel and edit it that way, and then re-import it if you want to do it that way. It's probably easier. And I'm actually going to export this. That's my incorrect demo one. Export this for safekeeping. Because what can happen is if you hit enter twice accidentally, it'll save it. But anyway, the math here actually isn't too complicated. The key thing is that you want both the X and Y axis for each team to equal 41 each, so a total of 82. So 41 home games, 41 road games. So if you just take Atlantic Club 1 here at home, they play the other Atlantic clubs 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 twice at home, and then once at home for 8 and 9. So if you do the math, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13, 14, and then they play every other club once at home. So 14 plus 3 other divisions times 9 is 27, so 14 plus 27 is 41. So then you've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13, 14, 41. So then that's the same across the board. Okay, so this is a pain to fill in, but once it's done, it's not bad. So you export it, like I said, export it for safekeeping, and then import it if needed. So this is the 3rd time I've actually done this for this video, so we will finish, and then it populates. And what's nice about this is this is actually the more complex thing, because you could fill this in yourself if you are a monster, but fills in every game, so 1,430 games in total. Okay. So that should make it so that every team is set up for a 36 team league. Let me just look at transfer rules. I don't think I need to do anything in here. I'm just double checking to see if it's anything that I forgot, because it is almost 1 a.m. Next player of the squad. Yeah, you might want to adjust this, maybe lower this number if you have 40 teams or 36 teams. Routine salary, I think this is all fine. Oh, if you have to change the cap. So next season, for example, so the 25-26 season, this goes up to 103 or 104. And then this goes up as well. They don't actually post how the floor is calculated, but, they don't actually post the math, but there's some, you can reverse engineer it, I guess, and it's basically the median profit is where the salary ceiling is 115% of the median, and then the salary floor is 75%, I think is how they do it. So you could just figure it out or just make it up, but so I don't need to change any of that. If you change the salary cap, you do have to adjust these. These are actually the numbers that are being used next year, but you can just figure out what the percentage is. So I don't know, just 11,700,000, blah blah blah, whatever that percent is of 95.5 would tell you what this number should be. So if your salary cap goes up, then there you go. Anyway, so I think I got it all. I'm just gonna double check. So my rules and structures, basic data, 36 teams. I haven't changed anything here. Comp rules, 82. Adjust that as you want. Structure. So 2 conferences still, 2 divisions in each, and there are 9 teams in each one. So there's Quebec. There is Atlanta. You can do that. So if for some reason Atlanta is showing up at the top, hit this reset table order, it'll fix that. Western, so there's Houston, and then Pacific, there's San Francisco. Okay, so I'm going to save this, and then I will open EHM, and we will do the test. Okay, so because I created a folder with the name 36 test or whatever I called it, because I created that folder in the databases, it will show up. Remember that the file has to be called database.db exactly. So if you click, so start a new career game, database, select your folder, whatever you called it, and hit OK. you do have to go through all the initial setup before you can actually confirm that it worked. Blah, blah, blah. So the NHL is selected. If you have a kind of like a core error, so if you scroll in here, you might see a couple exclamation marks here, and that will usually mean that you created 34 teams, but the league is set to 32, or you created 36 and set for 34, or the divisions aren't set up or something. That is, so check that first. I don't have that, so that's a good sign. Turn off auto work. So I haven't actually added any players. I'll show you. I'll show you something you can do for that in the editor. And I also haven't set the staff. So if you want to make it, no staff, you can just not do anything here. If you click Add Key Staff, it'll generate fake people. And if you do this, add players to playable teams, it'll do the same thing. So, and just for the hell of it, I'll do that. Add Key Staff, and then hit OK. And then it loads. And if we get past this loading screen, then that means we are in business. Usually it freezes. If it's going to freeze, it'll freeze here. It's looking promising. Cool. There we go. We did it. Blah, blah, blah. So there's Atlanta team. They all have the same colors. So there's the fake people. There's Houston. So Quebec. There's Quebec. And then San Francisco. All the same colors. Let's just go with Quebec just to test it. My name is first name, last name. You can see all my demo versions. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. Now, something that I'm not really familiar with how to do is to make the schedule make like geographical sense. This one actually didn't turn out too bad, but I've had it before where, my first two games were, like I'm playing as Atlanta, my first game is against Houston, and then I have like a back-to-back against Montreal or something. So I'm sure there's a way to do it, I just don't quite know how. So it looks like the schedule filled in. I don't really want to count to see if there's 82 games. It looks like we're good. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, okay. Looks like we're all right. You can export or print, the schedule if you want to confirm, but it should be fine. So there we go. So we have fake players, but it worked. And that's how you make your 36 league team. Look at that. 18 overall standings, 36. There you go. All right. So one final thing I'll show you. I probably should have showed you this before the grand reveal, but if you want to do simulate how the expansion draft works, there's two ways you can set players. Is you could just go in here, so people, players and staff, and then if you click this filter button here, I can never find this. League contracted, National Hockey League, and then you can do things like I swear you could set age. Interesting. Anyway, you can set up the filter to enable player filter to align with whatever the rules are. So just for the sake of quickness, apply and close, so that it will list all of the players that are drafted. Did it show? Oh, it's got physio too. Enable player filter. job for nation. I just do player. I don't know if this is gonna work. Nope. Okay. Well. Okay. Well, I'm not gonna sit here and fiddle with it. So I don't know. The staff is showing up. That's fine. So you can go through here and just select contracted playing for, and then set player details. You can do that. The other thing you can do, and this is what I did, is go to File, Export Spreadsheet, and then select players and non-players. And then this is a research sheet, but if you, I'll show you what the research sheet looks like. And then click Export Data. That will generate an Excel file. You can see that I've got one in there already. And let me just switch over. I've got some other files open, so let me just pause this again. And so I just went in here, and this is what the research sheet looks like. And sometimes it generates with another kind of header. You have to delete that, but what I can do here is, this is my other one. So I just decided Tyson Hines was the guy I'm picking, so then I just placed the name of the team here, make sure the spelling is exact, save it, and then when you go back in here, you can import spreadsheet, and then import that file, and then it should update. It kind of depends how you want to do it, but either way is fine. So you can fill your rosters that way. What I did is I filled the rosters via the doing it this way with Excel, and then brought it in, and then the hired staff the old-fashioned way. But that's how you do it.